To construct their argument, Ryan Fisk hypothesized that 4 fundamental moral motives underlie all of our social relational psychology. And this is how social relational context determines moral behavior. The 4 moral motives are unity, hierarchy, equality, and proportionality. And we'll dive into each of these separately in the slides that follow. These 4 basic relational moral motives are each situated with a mental model or schema that organizes human relational activities. These 4 relational models have been investigated in research using a broad range of methodologies for several decades. The 4 relational models include communal sharing, authority ranking, equality matching, market pricing, and we're going to go through how these relational models connect up to the moral motives. Let's start with the communal sharing relational model. We employ communal sharing relational activities when we're in a pair or a group where everyone is equal with regard to the most important feature in that group, such as being in a family, friend group, tribe, sorority, or team. Others who are not in that group are considered unequal to us. They're the out-group members on that particular feature. The moral motive connected with communal sharing is unity. The moral motive of unity is pursued alongside communal sharing relational activities, and this is done by narrowing moral concern to in-group members, regardless of whether they deserve it or whether they have demonstrated reciprocity by returning favors. If they're incompetent, they're still group members. If they get old and can't reciprocate, they still get our care. In the communal sharing context, stealing doesn't even make sense. Ownership is an irrelevant concept. These are your people. Communal sharing relations are found in families, many close friendships, teams and brotherhoods and sisterhoods, within military units, and within people who are grouped by nationality sometimes. How do we show our commitment to the group? How do we participate in communal sharing? Well, the moral motive of unity can motivate intense sacrifice for our groups. Unity motives probably drive increased views of the outgroup as being contaminating or stigmatizing them, or outgroup directed hate and violence in the service of maintaining the purity of the in-group. People might pursue purification rituals and acts to show that they're part of the group. We learned about honor killings. These could be understood as part of this relational model. Also, excommunication has been a way to, quote, purify tight communities by removing contaminating members. Morally marking unity can also occur through cues of bodily similarity. So if we all have the same type of tattoo or design of tattoo, this is a signal of our group membership. Facial scarification has also been used in this way. Uniforms, the use of uniforms, and also rituals related to blood and sex, dance, mimicry, and other kinds of synchronous movements. These are all used to serve as cues that I'm like the other people in my group. Contrast communal sharing with a very different kind of relational model, authority ranking. The authority ranking relational structure organizes people. It places them according to their rank on some linear hierarchy, like dominance, authority, or age. This position on the hierarchy determines what's right or wrong as far as the relationships and the behaviors within that structure. Let's discuss now what the moral motive hierarchy really looks like. Ryan Fisk described a hierarchy motive as being motivated to create and maintain a linear ranking in a social group. And it's presented by the authors as not inherently wrong, despite how you might be familiar with the concept of hierarchy. Hierarchies, in their view, are in play between children and adults, teachers and students, coaches and players. Ryan Fisk see the authority ranking relational context and the moral motive of hierarchy as necessary for successful skill development throughout our lives. Recall that Turiel proposed that authority's influence on whether something's right or wrong is actually an indication that it's not morally relevant. It negates morality if a behavior is authority dependent. This theory proposes, in contrast, that authority rightly directs subordinates to act. And immorality, in an authority ranking relational context, can involve authority failing to give subordinates appropriate guidance and direction. So, with authority and hierarchy determining right or wrong, there are some moral consequences. Another feature of the moral motive hierarchy in authority ranking contexts is that subordinates might be compelled to extreme violence on behalf of superiors to whom they feel obligated. And in turn, superiors might be perceived as more morally responsible for the subordinates' actions. So it has an element of this mutually constrained sense of responsibility.